Easter is this weekend, and that means that families across America are going to be participating in Easter egg hunts, which is, sure to be lots of fun for everyone involved. Unless you were one of the people attending the Easter egg hunt at the Greentown Center in Dayton, Ohio, because apparently the mall hosted an Easter egg hunt where the adults were pushing children out of the way to get the eggs themselves. Insider reported that in a now removed Facebook post, the Greentown Center in Dayton, Ohio apologized on Monday for the adults' behavior, which had, quote, left some children leaving empty-handed. Post said that those who planned the event were very upset with the outcome of the egg hunt and the way they were treated by community members at the conclusion of the event. So the organizers of this event, it's an outdoor mall, they set up 2,000 eggs with treats and prizes inside, mostly candy, little toys. And apparently the organizers also painstakingly explained the rules to the participants. They claimed for 90 minutes, which, if I just stand there and listen to the rules be explained for 90 minutes, I might also start to lose my mind. But so the rules of the egg hunt were that children who were 1 and 2 years old, they were supposed to start first. Then the 3 and 4 year olds, and then everybody else. But adults were not allowed to pick up the eggs at all. But Insider reported that the Post said they struggled with, quote, crowd control at an Easter egg hunt. They repeatedly had to ask participants to move, and they saw people being knocked over. But they didn't just see people being knocked over. They saw grown ass adults throwing children to the ground to get to the eggs first. I wish I could have been there. I wish there was footage of the event. It's horrible. I know it's horrible, but it's so funny. It's the funniest thing I've ever. It sounds like a scene from, I don't know, like a Seth Rogen movie where the adults are just shoving children to the ground to get eggs that have like tiny candy bars inside. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, this I endorse fully. This I'm fine with. I think that children need to be taught a lesson that you don't just get eggs for free. I think they have to realize that you got to sometimes battle the cruel world out there when trying to get plastic eggs. I think it's a great metaphor for life. I encourage every adult to be like George Costanza during in a smoky airplane, just pushing everybody out of the way to save himself first. Women and children be damned.
Easter is normally a time of reflection. You think about Jesus's sacrifice, but for some people, I think the best example of living that life is just throwing a hard right elbow right into the face of a child to get a $5 toy after being warned explicitly for over an hour to please don't punch children. I mean, the only bright side of this is we can say nobody was bucketed, so there was that small blessing. But it is embarrassing. It is so embarrassing to be one of these adult parents.
Strong point. Ask yourself, what would Jesus do? And obviously, Jesus would probably elbow children to get at some free candy. And we don't know that he would, but we also don't know that he wouldn't. I don't think the New Testament explicitly says he did not try to hoard candy, even at the risk to any young children who might have been standing in his way. Maybe that's why he ended up on the cross. He was just too grubby with some of that candy, and they needed to pull him out so the kids could have free access to the Easter egg hunt.
You see, there was just some confusion about the Easter egg hunt. The price of eggs rising. The adults thought that they were actual eggs, so free eggs that they were gonna scoop up to use at their house. And I mean, if Jesus rose right now and went into a grocery store and saw the price of eggs, he would definitely be elbowing kids to get to that.
I think the shocking thing is apparently the mall let the adults keep the prizes they took. So they didn't even stand by their own rules. The kids learned you cannot get in between an adult and something they want. I mean, man.
And the mall is confusing in every respect because they clearly don't know how to put on an event or run a Twitter, because 90 minutes is just literally insane. I wouldn't listen to rules of skydiving for more than 5 minutes. 90 minutes for an egg hunt. They probably just angered everybody and riled them up with such pent up tension. It's like being stuck in traffic for 90 minutes with rules droning on and on. But then they posted an apology and removed the apology. So that's very confusing. Maybe with some time to reflect, they've become proud of themselves for having taught these kids a lesson early. And I'd like to see how many eggs they have in their own drawers in their office at the mall. They're gonna pull up in their Paul Blart Mall Cop, not vest, but the Segway scooters, go to their desk and just hoard a bunch of candies. Which is a separate note. Reminds me yesterday about the world's tastiest candy I've ever had, a lychee candy, and it's insane. And if they were hiding in some eggs, there were some kids around. Those kids best bring a helmet and a hockey stick, because I'm coming at them.
I really like the use of the term crowd control in the mall's post. Like it's a goddamn Travis Scott concert. And then he's just, alerted the parents to, rush the stage to get to the eggs. There's a riot. Like it's an Easter egg hunt. What type of crowd control could you, it's some cones. Put some cones out. That's all the crowd control you should reasonably need for an Easter egg hunt.
Travis Scott kept performing throughout the whole Easter egg hunt too.
And the crazy thing is most malls now have some sort of armed guard. So yet more proof that good guys with guns will not protect your eggs.
It's a strong point. And in fact, bad guys with guns are the ones taking away your rights to control your own eggs.
Guns and buckets.
Made that political. I made that political. You see how that political came out of nowhere? Boom.
You know what? You mentioned the Seinfeld thing, and it did immediately when I read the story make me think of the episode of Seinfeld where George is in the school because he's dating a teacher or something, and there's a fire, or it's a kid's birthday party, and there's a fire, and he knocks the kids to the ground to make sure he's the first one out of the school. And it's like it literally like this is a Seinfeld episode. This isn't real life.
Oh, I thought it was an airplane, but maybe you're right. It's a school. Yes, but it is very Costanza-esque. And then Kramer would walk in and he'd be like, "Yeah, that's what I would do." I had to get out of there, Jerry. These are children, George. These are kids. Let them have their eggs. The only character I can't do a bad impression of is Elaine Bennis.
Fair enough. You gotta get the wig on, and then once you have the big full hair, then I think you'll really
flows.
Right. It just comes to you.
Right. I'll work on that for next power panel.
I will say, if these parents, I was a theater kid growing up, and reading this it's insane, but very believable to me because I've met theater parents. Also, parents of kids in sports can be just this aggressive. Like, I used to work at a rec center, and I would do the scoreboard for kids games. And when I say kids games, I mean like 7, 8 years old. Like these are little kids, and it's a rec league. It's not even like a travel team, just a rec league. And one time I was doing a scoreboard for a game where one team was winning 50-3. So at that point, I was like, safe bet, turn the scoreboard off. Nobody needs to see this. This is shouldn't even be keeping track at this point. And I had a parent come up and start screaming at me. She was like, "Why would you turn the scoreboard off?" And I was like, so that the kids don't feel bad about themselves. I'm not in the business of wanting 7-year-olds to like look up at the scoreboard and hate themselves. So I'm turning it off. This is just for fun. And it's the same parent who had been berating her son the whole night. Her son was on the winning team, and she's screaming at him like he's playing terribly. There are some parents who have like, they can't like conceive of, maybe you shouldn't talk to a child or treat a child like they're an adult. But in that same vein, I don't think you should be pushing adults to the ground to get Easter eggs either.
But also now I take issue with your move, Ray. I disagree completely with turning off the scoreboard. You're pushing the everybody gets a trophy culture, and I don't agree with that. Kids need to learn there's winning and losing, and maybe they would have been able to get the score back to at least not a super embarrassing level and lost by less. And now they feel like they probably feel like they played so bad, they just destroyed the scoreboard. Like it doesn't function at such a point differential.
That was definitely everybody gets a trophy league. And you know what? One of those teams had a kid who was 8 and like almost 5 feet. And the rest of the kids were like, I don't know what height are kids? Like 3'2". So it was never gonna be a fair matchup, but.
Well, that's what I wanna know. I wanna know what kid fought through that gauntlet of adults and got the most eggs, because that kid should be our next president.
True. But we'll just decide.
Point.
The next election by egg count.
Yes.
Lay them all out on the table.
And then we might get our first female president that way.
True. I think that genuinely might be the only way. Keep it the state of American politics.
Replace the electoral college with egg count, and then a woman finally wins. It's the only way it could ever happen, probably, in this backwards country. But most school sports leagues that I played in, or not school, young kids leagues, AYSO, Little League, YMCA basketball, they all gave trophies to everybody, and we all got really excited. And I kept all my trophies my whole life. I probably still have them in my room at my parents' house back home. And I don't know why we were excited, because we didn't earn them. We just played the season, and I'm living proof. I grew up very soft. Because of that.
Well, you earned them by playing the season, right?
No,
like you didn't throw any. You weren't.
No, you earn memories. You earn athleticism from that. You earn winning, the knowledge of winning and losing, how to make friends, teamwork. You don't earn a trophy. The whole point of a trophy is for winning.
Maybe you should have gone to the Easter egg hunt in Dayton, Ohio, and learned a little bit. You wouldn't be soft after that event. You'd have come out hard.
I would grab a bunch of eggs. I would be a hardened criminal at that point. I would have a bunch of eggs, and I would post up right outside the mall and sell candy from those eggs to whatever child wants some candy.
Like the ticket master of Easter.
Absolutely, 100%. Taylor Swift could be playing in the background. I'm fine with it. I gotta learn at some point.
Max, did you play sports growing up?
I don't look like I played sports, do I? No, I have the body of a heavy reader, but that's why I sympathize with these kids who are going down immediately in this Easter egg fight. And I wish them a speedy recovery from their grievous injuries.
Maybe they should all get trophies. Wait, we can't do that. We can't give them all trophies for their participation in the egg fiasco. Sorry.
First, second, and third place, max trophies. That's the most amount of trophies. I didn't mean to say max trophies and rub that in, Max. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I wouldn't know what those look like.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.